What's up, everyone? My name's Nick, and welcome back to Digital Manufacturing Design. Today we're going to go over this NIMS part. I'm going to show you how to draw it in SolidWorks. This is for the NIMS Milling 1 machining manufacturing test. So it's just to give you a little bit of a better idea of how to approach this from a CAD perspective before you get inside the machine. So that being said, we're going to get started here. I'm going to go ahead and open a new part or start a new part. So I'm going to go File, New, and we can choose from the part inside this new SolidWorks document, or you can go into your advanced and you can open up your new personal template that I showed you guys how to make in that last video. So I'm actually going to go inside a new part for me that I made in the template. Let's open it up here. And the first thing that I want to do, looking at this print here, is to just recognize where our datum points are. And that's the first thing that you really want to look at when you're manufacturing a part as well, because that's going to lead you into what's going to be your work holding. So for us, I think the most important is probably going to be this origin 0, 0 point. And even though this is an E datum and a C datum, they're probably your primary and your secondary datums. And speaking of datums, usually you only have 3 datums inside of a print. You have your primary, secondary, and your tertiary, and that follows the 1, 2, 3 rule for the datums. But there's a handful on here, and that's totally fine too. It's just going to help you identify what's important to hold when you're manufacturing the part. So for us, again, I've identified where my 0, 0 point is. It's down here. That's going to be my origin. And I'm going to link it to my origin here inside of SolidWorks as well. So I'm going to start probably a corner rectangle from this point and then open it up like that. So I'm going to hop over here, and I'm going to imagine that this is sitting on a tabletop. So I'm going to use the top plane. So we'll go to the top plane right here, start a sketch. And then my origin is located in the middle of the part, or sorry, in the middle of the viewport here. And I'm going to choose, go over here to the sketch tab. I'm going to choose corner rectangle. I'm going to hover my mouse over this origin point. I'm going to drop a point, and I'm going to drag out a square or rectangle. I'm going to hit the escape key to make sure that I end that command, and then go into my smart dimension tool. I'm going to smart dimension that at, I'm going to put up the print again. I'm going to be going back and forth here a couple times. 3.5 is going to be the width, and then the length of it is going to be 2.5. So we'll do 3.5. And then this will be 2.5. And then again, to get out of the command that I don't want to continue making, I'm going to hit the escape key a couple times, get out of it. And again, I'm here inside the sketch tab. I'm going to flip over to the features tab to get inside of my 3D aspects. And I'm going to go in here to extrude raw space. And you're going to see that it's going to be extruding up. So let's take a look at the part again. And we're looking at the part, and let's take a look at those 0 points. So my 0, 0, and X and Y is right there. My 0 and Z is at the top of the part. So I don't think I want to extrude up. I'm actually going to go down. So I'm going to hop back over here, and I'm going to change this direction by, I'm still inside the extrude raw space. I'm going to flip this down. That's going to be the 2 arrows that are going back and forth from each other. That's right next to the word blind. And you can change that to any end condition, but I'm just going to keep it as blind for right now. And I'm going to go 0.725, because that's what was listed on the part. And I'm going to hit enter or the green check mark. So again, my sketching is all going to be my 2D, and then my features is all going to be 3D. So I've created something in 2D, which if I look here inside of my feature tree, I have my 2D sketch that's nested beneath my 3D feature. And I want to go ahead and create another 2D sketch on the top of this plane, or the top of this face, and use it as a reference point to start drawing down. Because if we look at the print again, you can see I have this whole outline here that I have to create to cut down at least to that 300 mark. So I'm going to click on the surface for this face, and I can get my hotkey, which is from this toolbar here. I can select on the sketch, which is the bottom row, the second one in, or I can click on this face and I can go up to sketch and I can start a sketch by clicking on sketch up here. So I want to reorientate myself to that face, so I'm going to hit the space bar and then I'm going to change it to top and I'm going to start drawing there on that face. So there's a couple ways to approach this. You could either just draw lines and profile this all out. I think the best way to maybe look at this is probably just to offset it, because I can recognize on this print here that you have 250 offset from there, 250 offset from there, and 250 offset from there and there. Or you could just draw a corner rectangle and draw it out that way, and then also space it out accordingly with the Smart Dimension tool. But for me, I'm going to show you guys how to use the offset tool. It's pretty helpful when you're working with faces and you're drawing from that face and trying to shrink it down a little bit. So I've clicked off my face by accident, theoretically, and I just want to make sure that this face is always selected when I go into an offset feature. So I've selected this face, I'm already in my sketch. I'm going to click on offset that's located in my sketch tab. It's going to be located right here. Click offset. I'm going to type in 0.25. And I'm going to reverse that because you can see that the outside yellow box is going away from the part, and we want it to go inside the part. So I just have to select reverse here instead of offset. And then I'm going to hit the green check mark. And you're going to notice that I have a nice box that is displayed there within the surface that we were drawing on. We're going to have to trim this up a little bit. Looks like we're going to have to put a little corner there, radius, another corner. I got to put an arc, and then also another radius there. And this is where we want to start to think about this as if we were going to program this into a G-code format. So, you have your 0, 0, and you're making your moves in, your G01s, and you're going positive in X, and then you're going positive in Y, and then you're coming back negative in X, and then back down negative in Y, but that's incremental. So just think about it in that format as we go through these dimensions. It's not something to consciously always think about, but just hope that gives you some context here. So there's a couple ways to approach putting these corners. I'll put those corners, which are going to be called chamfers or angles here. You can go inside of the chamfer tool and then put that chamfer in there, but the problem with that is that it usually defaults to like a 45 degrees, or it tries to keep it to like a nice even dimension there. So I want to actually just draw a line. So I'm going to open up my line tool, and I'm going to just hover over this left side offset, grab that line, draw this down until it snaps to the bottom part of that offset as well. I don't want to keep drawing my my angle here, so I'm going to hit escape a couple times. And I have a blue line, which means that I can move it around, but I also have the 2 black lines from the offset. I actually want to trim these 2 black lines so they end at the corners of that angle right there. So I'll take my trim tool, which is located again inside of my sketch tab. I'm going to go up to trim entities, and I'm going to just default to power trim. And I really like this tool because it's kind of like a blade, and you're just cutting through things. So I'm just going to click with my left mouse button, and then I'm going to drag through whatever features that I don't want. So I'm going to click through this corner and this corner right here, and you'll see that I've gotten rid of them, but the offset has stayed with the part. So I haven't gotten rid of that, but I did get rid of that corner there to kind of clean things up. So from here, I can start dimensioning it as I see fit. It looks like from the origin point, I'm going to try to dimension everything from this origin point just because we're looking at the print. This is an ordinate dimensioning system, and it's all based off that origin there. So I'm going to just go ahead and dimension that 1.125 from the origin. So I'm going to take my Smart Dimension tool, grab the origin point, grab that corner point, and I'm going to make that 1.125. Hit the Enter key, and then I'm going to go back in here, and then it looks like this one doesn't have a dimension there, so that tells me that it has to be dimensioned from that angle. So I'm going to grab this line here, and then I'm going to grab that line there with my Smart Dimension tool. And that's going to prompt us an angle because it's giving us a length right now. Hit that, now it's giving us an angle. So I'll make that 30, hit the Enter key, and you see how it turned black? That means it's fully defined. We're going to do the same thing up here in this top right-hand corner. So I'm going to go up here, take my line tool, I draw a line out. It really doesn't matter what that angle comes out to be in the theoretical space, because I can change this to whatever angle I want. I'm just getting it close, just like with any shape inside SolidWorks. You're just getting it close, and then you're going to smart dimension it to be its absolute dimension. So again, I'm going to go up here to my trim entities. I'm going to trim through these two, smart dimension it, and I'm going to go back in here and take a look at, this is 3.25, so that's already set with the offset. And this 2.812, I do have to put that dimension, and the angle is 40 degrees. So I'm going to grab that origin point down there. I'm going to grab this corner point, and I'm going to drag my dimension up. I'm going to be 2.812. And then I'm going to, I already forgot the dimension there, 40 degrees. So I'm going to grab this line here, because you can see it's being projected from this top edge into that edge. It's not being projected from that, that vertical edge there. It's being projected from this top horizontal edge. So I'll grab that top horizontal edge. I'll grab this angle there, and then type in 40. So you see it updated. I'm going to hit escape a couple times because I don't want to keep smart dimensioning stuff, but everything is to some degree fully defined. We just have to continue adding other shapes to this. So I'm going to approach this from these two corners now, and the way that we can do that is by drawing a fillet or a corner fillet in those corner points. And we could have approached the angles or the chamfers same way by using the chamfer tool, which is nested here inside of the fillet. So if you're inside the sketch tab, you can go over here to the bottom row and click on sketch fillet, and you can see that you can find that sketch chamfer. It just makes it a little bit difficult because it's going to default to some kind of equilateral angle, or it's a little bit harder to control those dimensions because it wants to dimension the chamfer as a whole, or we're dimensioning it from the origin point. So that was the approach there, and that's why I avoided that initially. But from here, we can actually just go to the sketch fillet, because that's going to be a pretty default way to just create tangency between any one of these edges. So I'll go into that sketch fillet, I'll click on that, and then I believe the bottom one was going to be 0.312. So I'll 0.312, type that in, and I'll just hit this corner here, or I can grab this edge, and it'll chamfer together. So I'll probably just do it both ways here. I'll do this bottom right corner by just hitting the corner point, and you'll see that it's projecting it with the yellow projection. I can hit the green check mark. And then this top left corner, I'm going to make this 0.438, and I'm actually just going to click on this line and this line here. You'll see it does the same thing as it did when you just hit the corner point. So now I have to add that little slot in there, that arc that's going in the middle of it. And the way that I would approach this is that you can see that the center mark of that arc is on line with that offset, that top horizontal offset. So I'm actually just going to draw a circle, and I'm going to go back to our tool that we've been using, that trim tool. I'm going to trim through the top of it, and I'm going to trim through the horizontal line there. So I'll hop back here into SolidWorks. I'm going to open up a circle tool. It's located in that sketch tab again. And I'm just going to take the pencil here, and I'm going to snap to this top line. I don't want to snap up here to this midpoint. You can see that when I hover on this line, I can see a little yellow square, and that's a midpoint relation. I actually want to try to avoid that because I do want to smart dimension this here in just a second. So I'm going to go a little bit to the right of it, and I'm going to click on the line. I'm going to drag out this center circle, and I'm going to hit escape. Now, if I try dimensioning this, you're going to notice that I'm going to get a diameter. You have your diameter symbol in front of that. But if you're looking at the print, you're going to notice that the C is going to be a radius of 0.45. So we actually do not want to dimension it just quite yet. I'm going to click on that and delete it. I want to trim it so I can turn it into an arc, and then I can smart dimension it from there. So first and foremost, I'm just going to trim through the top of this. So I got rid of the top part of that arc, or top part of that circle, and turned it into an arc. And then I'm going to trim through the line that's intersecting this arc now. So I'll trim it. You can see that I still have a fully defined outer perimeter. And then if I hit escape, I can drag this arc across this top line and it won't move off of it. All I have to do now is just dimension its X position as well as its arc. So I'm going to take my smart dimension tool and I'll give it its, I think I said it was 0.45. Yep, 0.45 as its radius arc. And then its X position is, if I go back in here to the notes, it's going to be X 1.75. And since it's already offset in that Y position, we don't have to worry about that because it's already on that top offset right there. So it's just going to be 1.75 in X. So I'll escape, grab the center point, and then grab the origin. Smart dimension that at 1.75. And you can see that everything is turning black for me. I'm going to go ahead and extrude cut this so I can go into my part. I'm going to go to features, and we were using that extrude boss base, and that's going to add material. We want to remove material, so we want to go to extrude cut. We'll click on extrude cut, and I'm going to reposition myself with the middle mouse button here. Just drag this down, and you can see that when I'm looking at the projection of this cut, it's actually going through the part, and I actually want it to be outside of the part. And kind of in the theory of, when we were looking at the offsets and then we were looking at where it was extruding, we can always reverse those effects. So I can reverse it and it's going to go up, but we don't want that. I still want it going down into the part, but I can flip the side to cut, which is located right beneath that, and I'll flip the side to cut, and you see that it's actually going outside of the part now. And I'm going to type in 0.3 because we look at the part, or the print rather, and you can see that it's going down 0.3 from that origin point on datum A. And then I'll hit the green check mark, and you'll see that it's actually removing material for us. I'm going to continue drawing on this top face because I have to look at putting this slot in, and then I got to put in 4 little holes. 2 of them are going to be through holes because I can see here from the cross section, and then 2 of them are going to be plunged with a tip on them or point on them. So let's go ahead and click on this face again. We can move around in the 3D space if we want to with the middle mouse button by clicking it down and dragging it across the screen. But I'm going to click on that face there. I'm going to open up the hot toolbar here and select sketch. I can go to space and I can reorientate myself to the top plane, and then I can just draw a slot down the middle of this. So we can draw this by either drawing the outlines of it with the line tool and then also putting arcs on them. But I think it might be easier just to use this straight slot tool right here. So we'll click on the straight slot, which is located inside the sketch tab. And it's going to give you a couple different options of how you draw this. I'm just going to use the default number 1 slot. And all it's going to do is you have to prompt it with a center line, and then you just drag out a width. So I'm not going to link myself to anything just quite yet because I do want to make sure that I am putting in that X and Y position. So I'll just draw an arbitrary line here. I'm not going to try to snap to anything. I'll just draw this down. The only thing I do want to snap to is you can see if I'm off the horizontal line, or sorry, off the vertical line, it's not giving me a relationship, but I'm going to go straight down until it snaps, and you can see that I do have a vertical relationship there. And I'll just click again, and I'll drag out a slot. I don't want to keep drawing slots, so I'm going to hit escape a couple times, and I can actually grab on this line and reshape it, or I can grab on one of the points. Oops. Move it around a little bit. But my primary objective right now is to just dimension the radiuses so I can lock that down, and then I can dimension the X and Y positions. And I believe you only have to dimension the X position once because it is a vertical line. So I'm going to grab that outside radius right there so I can look at dimension D in my feature notes here, and that's going to be radius 1.875, or sorry, 0.1875. Click on that radius right there, 0.875, and it's going to mirror that down here, so I don't have to dimension that again. I can I don't want to hit escape just quite yet because I still want to dimension it from its X and Y position. So X position, if I look at dimension D, 1.75 in X, and then 1.5 in Y. So I'm going to get this center line from the origin still inside of my Smart Dimension tool because I did not hit escape there. I'm going to make that 1.75. And then in in Y, I have to make sure that I'm grabbing the center point of that arc. So I'm going to grab the center point right here from the origin, and I'm going to make that 1.5. And you can see that it's starting to Smart Dimension itself, fully define itself with the Smart Dimension tool. And I just have to essentially grab the center mark of the Y position on the bottom part of that slot. So I'll open this back up. It's dimension E, or feature E rather, and that's going to be 0.75 from the origin. So I'll grab that origin point, grab that point there, 0.75. Looks like our slot is fully defined. Now, I know it might be our habit to just go back into our features, extrude cut that, and then hit enter, but what's going to happen is if you don't assign those values, it's going to default to the last time that you had a value there, and I'll show you that in just a second. But here looking at the print, we had 300 down from the top of that face, but this one's actually 500 down. So I want to make sure I'm conscious of that. I'm going to go to Features, Extrude Cut, and I'm going to move my position here with the middle mouse button, or I can hit the arrow keys as well. This looks like it's defaulting there. I'd have to hit the viewport and then use my arrow keys, or just use my middle mouse button and zoom around here in the viewport here. But I'm going to look at this and see how it's defaulting to 0.3. I want to make sure that that's 0.5. The 0.3 was the last dimension that we put in there, and that 0.5 is going to be now a new dimension. So now we're going to put two holes. I'm going to actually approach this using the through hole command and combine them in one feature here. So we have dimension or feature A and then feature F. So feature A is going to be a diameter of 0.312, and then feature F is going to be a diameter of 0.213. So I'm going to select this face again, and I can start a sketch here. I'm going to again reorientate myself so I'm looking head down at it, and hit the top plane after hitting the space bar, and then I'm going to grab circle. And I'm not going to try to lock myself into a position point here because I can wake up these corners and I can grab the center mark of them. But I don't want to do that because I'm going to be linked to that center mark. I actually want to be off of it a little bit. So try to avoid snapping to any relationships here. It's pretty arbitrary. We're just going to draw a circle out there. And again, I'm not even worrying about the dimension that it's coming out to be, because that's just a theoretical dimension. I'm just going to put another one there. So this is A, this is F. And A was a dimension of 0.312. I'm just smart dimensioning these now. And I'm still smart dimensioning. I'll grab this other hole. And this is going to be 0.213. And now I just have to define its X and Y positions. So here in Y, it's going to be not listed in my notes, so I actually got to read the print here. 1.85, and then in X it's going to be 0.65. So I'll grab the center mark of that feature A, and I'll grab the origin. I'll make that 1.85 in Y, and then in X, I'm going to make it 0.65. You see how it's fully defined now? We're going to do the same thing with different X and Y positions on feature F. So I'll look over here. Feature F is going to be 1.5 in Y, and then it's going to be 2.5 in X. So I'll grab X first, grabbing the center mark, grabbing the origin, 2.5. And then in Y, again, I have to grab the center mark and grab the origin, make that 1.5. I'm going to hit escape a couple times to get out of my Smart Dimension tool. And I'm going to hop over here to the Features tab. And I'm going to go to Extrude Cut because I'm going to plunge a hole through both of those sketches there. So I'm going to hit on Extrude Cut. And we were using blind before, but I'm going to show you now that you can actually go through everything by selecting that blind, hitting the drop down, and then going to through all. And I can see that it's through all because I'm going to reposition myself. with my middle mouse button, just dragging it. You can see how it's cutting through the entire part. So I can hit the green check mark. And I can look, and I can see daylight on the other side. So those are through holes. Those are great. Now we're just going to move on these. Just holes here with countersinks at the bottom. So they're not through, they're blind holes. And they look like they're going to be at two different depths. So one's going to be at a 1/2 inch down, and the other is going to be at 0.45 down. So a little tricky there, just keep that in mind. So we're going to approach this a little bit differently. I'm going to just go to the top plane first. I'm not going to start a sketch here because I want to use something called the hole wizard. So inside SolidWorks, it has a pretty awesome hole wizard function feature that you can click on, and you can associate holes with countersinks so you don't have to draw them and revolve them. So it does the work for you there. And I'm going to show you how to use that here by going in the Features tab, going to Hole Wizard. And we're going to look for a hole that matches up to feature B. So feature B is going to be 0.281, and it's going to have a countersink. I'm going to just give a guess at saying that it's 120 degrees included or 118 degrees included. That's pretty standard when you're working in manufacturing. So you have to choose from a couple different holes here. This would be a straight tap or a thread, and that's a taper tap. And if you just hover your mouse over it, you can see what these all are. I'm going to use that hole one. I'm just showing you got a countersink there, counter bore. But just look for something that is going to represent what you want to be putting in. So for us, we just want to make sure that it's that hole. We're working in we're working in ANSI inch, so we'll keep that as our drafting standard. Type, we're going to just, if it's defaulting to all drill sizes, I'm going to select fractional drill sizes because we're just going to look for that 0.281. And I just have to hit this drop-down menu and make sure that you have show decimal values selected and then show custom sizing selected. So I'm going to hit this size, just drop that down, and we're looking for 9/32 because that's the 281, and we're just going to find that. So right there, 9/32, 281. We'll select that, and then again, I'm just going to say that the countersink at the bottom is going to be 120 degrees. We're going to leave that at its default. And then I'm going to go here to positions because I've given all the criteria and the dimensions for the hole itself. Now I just have to give its position as a sketch. So I'm going to select that positions. And what it's doing now in the background is it's saying, you know, I'm just trying to start a new sketch on a new surface or a plane or a face. And we're just going through that within this like hole wizard function. So right now it's just asking, what do you want to be drawing on? So I'm going to say I want to be drawing on this face right here. Click on that. You see how my mouse changed to a pointer pencil. And now it's showing me a preview for the hole. It's very important throughout this whole process that we do not hit the green check mark until we drop that hole down. So I'm just going to drop it arbitrarily, hit escape once. I don't want to hit escape twice because that's going to get me outside of the hole. So I'll hit escape once. And I want to go up here to Smart Dimension because it's prompting me inside of the Sketch tab. And we just want to give it its XY positions. So I'm just going to hop over here to my print again. It looks like it's going to be 1 inch in Y, and, or sorry, 1 inch in X, and then it's going to be 1 inch in Y. So sorry, 1 by 1. 1, and then we'll continue Smart Dimensioning it from the origin and to the center mark by 1. Oh, looks like I did too many dimensions in X. You can always delete those. Drag it out like that. And now we'll be able to hit the green check mark. So I'll hit the green check mark here. Looks like I gotta hit it again. And we'll see that we have a nice hole going through our part. We just have to do the same thing here. Well, one thing I didn't show was, I'm sorry about that, we're gonna right click on this in the feature tree and edit the feature. I think it defaulted for us, but I want to double check here that it did go to its correct blind position. So I want to make sure that that's a 1/2 inch. I did miss that going through that initially, so just keep that in mind. We're going to go back into the hole wizard again, and this time the blind is going to be at 0.45. We're going to be looking for a hole G is at 1/4 inch. Yep, 1/4 inch there. So we're going to change our size. That drop down, we're going to look for 1 1/4. Might have to scroll up a little bit. 1/4. And now this blind position, we want to make sure that that's 0.45. And inside the positions, we get the space bar. I hit escape a couple times. I want to reorientate myself here. Go to type. Just exit out of this hole. Go to top here. And then we'll go back into the whole wizard. It should have all your criteria saved. I can just go straight into positions. Click on that face. I just want to make sure that I'm looking at it head on when I'm putting in these holes so it doesn't come in at a weird angle. We'll go to Smart Dimension. Smart Dimension that in its X position. So position G, or sorry, feature G will be 2.93 in X. And then in Y, it's going to be 0.562. Grab the center mark, grab the origin, 0.562. Green check mark. Green check mark again up here in the top left. And we should have our finished NIMS part, which is going to correlate to this drawing number 98431. So I'm going to save this as 98431, and I'm going to use this for our next part of this, which is going to be a drawing. So I'll make another video here for that drawing, but I'll save this really quick. And I'll name this. Find where I want to put it first. (98431). Let's save. And then I'll create another video here showing how to make a print for it. So, hope this is helpful. I'll see you guys in the next video here.